I'm former Prime Minister and the senior leader of Nepal Communist Party. Right Honorable Prime Minister, other distinguished leaders, comrades, friends and friends from media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and namaskar to everybody. I, on behalf of myself and our party, would like to extend my hearty welcome to all national and especially international participants on this August International Seminar on Marxism and Socialism, organized to commemorate the bicentenary of Karl Marx. It was Marx who, in association with Engels, wrote Communist Manifesto, where he depicted that history of entire human civilization is the class struggle between the oppressor and the oppressed, with manifold gradation of social ranks. He also described that the modern society is made up of bourgeoisie and the proletariat. He developed dialectical materialism, which explained that everything in the universe is natural, which follows the laws of nature, and therefore there is no existence of supernatural. Besides, everything in the universe is material, where evolution is a continuous process. Beyond this, all is only one man-made concept which nowhere exists in the nature. These are the things which brought about a drastic shift in the human being to understand the reality of supernatural forces and the reason of their suffering, which had been prevailing in the society for ages. In Capital, a scientific analysis of capitalism, Marx has described extraction of surplus value is nothing other than the exploitation of the proletariat derived by the capitalist as their profit. He also pleaded for the values of labor, which brought awareness among the proletariat to fight against exploitation. The major idea of class struggle described by Marx states that the society shall compulsorily be in the antagonism as long as it is based on classes. Thus, he invoked the working class to unite in the trade union to lift against the bourgeoisie, to fight against the bourgeoisie or the exploiter. In this connection, he said, let the ruling class tremble at a communist revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a war to win. Working men of all countries unite. Struggling throughout, human beings have reached the present stage of society. Thus, struggle against tyranny or obstacle of regressive forces in the rights of human. This opinion of him established the right of working class for revolution against the bourgeoisie. Marx, unlike utopian socialists, studied to understand and predict social, economic and material phenomena, examining their historical trends by way of scientific method to derive probable outcomes and possible future development, and thus propounded scientific socialism. Marx and Engels stressed on the materialistic approach to understand the development of human history, and so the theory became the popular as historical materialism. Marx said that the struggle between have and have-nots continues until the globe will have classless society. Our condition create conflict, and this conflict lead to the development of human history. It was Marx who for the first time put forward the theory of dialectical and historical materialism, where he states that economic forces are the primary force which drive human beings through history. It applies evolution of productive forces and class struggle to explain history. Marx has said that capitalism is only the passing phase in the development of society. Paris Commune is an episode of the socialist movement where the rule of working class people was established for the first time in the history of mankind. The victory of working class to rule the society awakened the proletariats of the world to understand that they can win over the capitalist, tyrants and the exploiter. But absence of adept leadership, organizing capability and continuation of conventional bureaucracy, the commune dilapidated within the 70 days, inventing discouragement creep among the downtrodden people. However, the struggle of the proletariat in many parts of the capitalist regime did not stop. The struggle arose with a new enthusiasm after about 56 years of the downfall of Paris Commune, that the Great October Revolution under the dynamic leadership of Lenin became successful to establish socialist regime in Russia. The October Revolution brought about inundation of revolution in many countries of the East Europe, where socialist form of government, that is the government of the proletariat, got established. This scenario could not limit within the boundary of physical map. The Great October Revolution of working class people across the world and the formation of communist parties existed steadily in all continents. The socialist countries have adopted individual model of socialism as their main political and economic structure on the basis of national characteristic. Socialist model of agrarian revolution was adopted in Cuba, Tanzania and some socialist countries of Asia. The socialist model adopted by Chinese revolutionaries under the leadership and guidance of Comrade Mao was a model of agrarian revolution. Unlike the revolution in Russia, where industrial development had taken a pace and workers could be comparatively easily organized, China had no considerable number of factory workers to organize. Therefore, Comrade Mao accelerated guerrilla warfare to emancipate the shops and agricultural workers, which matched the peasant base of Chinese revolution. He created peasant-based People's Liberation Army, which under the leadership of CPC took power in the country. He launched political, social and economic reforms and included citizens in the state affairs, providing them respect and protection. The long and tough path traveled by socialism in China after Mao till date is a matter of comparative study to synthesize by the socialist and communist parties of the world. The model of socialism applied in People's Republic of China is the adaptation of socialism accompanied by Chinese characteristic, which relies on scientific socialism reflecting people's aspiration and fulfillment of development based on nation's necessity. The development of China to grow as a second largest economic power despite largest human population in the world is only because of the application of socialism coinciding to their national characteristic. This has taught the communist movement in all the countries not to follow socialism of other country as a stereo, but to apply it in the basis of individual national realities or national characteristic. The development of socialism, as foreseen by Karl Marx, has become successful in some countries of Asia. Marxism, being science, cannot be a dogma. It demands development with new realities internationally and nationally. We have observed that imperialism and capitalism have grown very strong in the vital and crucial sector of military and economy. There has been a drastic reduction of number of countries with communist system. Communist parties all over the world should seriously analyze about the setback of the communist regimes. It is a matter of grave concern why in many countries the communist system, supposedly controlled by and dedicated to the works toward the liberation of poor and marginalized section of the society, has not been sustainable, has failed and is not in position to meet the expectation of the people. In many cases, the system has collapsed and countries have come to the old exploitative mode. It has been a matter of debate where the scientific system of Marxism was run dogmatically by the rulers with the power, or whether the contemporary social and economic analysis at the time of Marx has become redundant to the new realities of 21st century. In meantime, the imperialists and capitalists have learned many lessons over the years and adjusted accordingly to survive and move forward. So it is a high time that the communist movement around the world have to grasp the correct lesson from the history and move ahead on the basis of ground realities with the basic tenets of Marxism. Out of positive and negative learning and obvious weakness in the practice of socialism in 21st century, we have come to a conclusion that a thorough analysis on the original characteristic and ways of implementing it is a must to come up with a potential new model of socialism. We ought to continue conducting as a revolutionary character, not only during our struggle, revolution and war against the feudal setup, but also during the period we ourselves are in party and government power, while maintaining a live relationship with the masses of people and inspiring them for the communist ideal. We can thus develop a successful model for 21st century. For 21st century, people's democracy, what we call Janabad, we are debating on the negative connotation of being in the government and continue ruling without bothering to obtain approval and judgment of the people. We should rather advocate practice of people's democracy by the government and within the Communist Party as well. The more we practice and develop democracy by respecting the say and will of the people within the party and the government, or power by empowering the people to have their life control, interference and monitoring and supervision in the affairs of party and the government, the more we strengthen the people's democracy within the country. Thus, this we believe makes socialism more viable, vibrant, and explains the rationale of its necessity to practice it. For the communist movement, this is the challenge of 21st century to survive itself and conquer capitalism. In Nepal, we have our own experience of defending, applying, and developing Marxism by revolutionary and communist movement, which are similar to some specific characteristic to Nepalese context and some of sovereign and international importance. In this context, Nepalese people under the leadership of communist parties waged both peaceful and armed struggle to liberate themselves from the age-old social, cultural, economic, religious, and regional and political exploitation. Armed and peaceful struggle were waged by the people in Nepal in the form of People's War and People's Movement. The positive political and social change that have occurred in the country recently are due to the correct understanding of the leadership, the need of 21st century. We have now achieved the federal system of governance, democracy, republicanism, and inclusive nature of the state. We have thwarted the feudalism and are on the way or poised toward achieving socialist setup of the governance of the Nepalese character. Now, recently conducted local, state and national level elections securing near about 2/3 majority of the popular votes, and the people, the communist parties, has confirmed the popularity and viability of the Nepalese political experiment in socialism for 21st century. Recently, a political history has been created in Nepal. Our two parties with largest following in the country, the then CPN, UML and CPN Maoist Center, have joined together to form a single largest political entity in the country, the Nepal Communist Party. The new party has Marxism-Leninism as guiding principle, and it recognize and embrace the contribution of Mao toward realization of the importance of socialism for 21st century. The new party will work towards preparation of socialism with correct strategy for strengthening people's democracy. The tactical line of the new party is peace, prosperity, and of the people and national self-defense. It is a dream. It is just like a dream comes true for the majority of the people who have inclination toward the left politics for a long time. They were simply divided and weakened so far, which restricted the process of unleashing the force of development in the country. It is believed that there will be political stability and good governance now onwards for the general prosperity of the people with faster and sustainable development of the country. The economic growth of capitalist countries has been rapid till 20th century, but the beginning of 21st century, the faster economic growth, especially of China and some of other East Asian countries, has created alarming situation for North American and Europe. Some countries of Latin America have also had fast economic expansion. Social security, public education, and healthcare have become fundamental entities of development of a country. In the political sector, protection and implementation of democratic values, confirming human rights, periodic election, multi-party competition to test the support of the people have become the heart and soul of the democratic nations. Many former oligarchic and autocratic countries have also started to follow democratic norms of rules or started to change themselves with some sorts of liberal attitude. The socialist countries in this modern ocean of new thinking should also change themselves from conventional socialist thinking to people's yearning of 21st century, realizing the political and social trends of modern society. We have thus exercised socialism compatible to the modern era and to ground reality of our time. Talking about socialism, we should have to focus our attention firstly on the improvement and development of democracy inside and outside of the party for the general masses of people is fundamental. Secondly, since there is a tremendous change in human and infrastructure development in the modern history of mankind, the masses today have to analyze the political and economic development of 21st century and have to be able to develop the ideological and political line accordingly. The science and technology has reached to a newer height of its development, and everybody is qualitatively affected from such development as never before in the history of mankind. Especially the development of information technology has compressed the world as a small village with a rapid flow and extension of information that has created the objective situation in favor of socialism. This development has created the objective situation in favor of socialism than before. We must have to be very prompt to grasp the opportunity to develop and nourish socialism both in ideological and practical terms. Lastly, it is contextual to mention that analysis of the positive and negative lesson of the history to synthesize the new model of socialism is the historical responsibility of Marxists all over the world. And I think that this gathering will take a new initiative in that direction because there are opportunities and there are challenges. We communists should totally dedicate and our commitment should be there to analyze and to synthesize the new realities. I thank you all once again for your kind attention. Thank you very much.